Friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. Today we continue our Clone Wars history series. We're in the second year of the war. It is 21 BBY. In our last episode, we took a look at the complicated rivalry between the new Mandalorians, led by Satine Kryze, and the Death Watch, led by Pre Vizsla. What started as a bitter ideological battle for the future of the Mandalorian people turns quickly into a proxy war for the wider Clone Wars as Separatist and Republic interests quickly get involved. Chapter 10: Fett's Revenge. Jango Fett was one of the most feared bounty hunters in the galaxy. Legends say that during the Battle of Galadron, Fett killed multiple Jedi with his bare hands. It's also said that Count Dooku had been the leader of the Jedi forces at the battle and had been so impressed with the bounty hunter that he selected him for the template for the clone army. Fett was an ordinary human being, but he was extremely skilled and talented when it came to combat. While the average Jedi is more talented than the average human, Jango existed in that small area where the most skilled humans surpassed the more average Jedi. Mace Windu, however, was not only above average for a Jedi, he was probably one of the most talented swordsmen in the entire Jedi Order, and therefore the galaxy. Jango never really had a chance against him. And being the terrible father he was, Jango brought his son/clone Boba Fett to the execution/battle, and the boy was there to witness his progenitor's beheading. And because Boba is a Fett, he's not gonna just let that go. He's determined to get his revenge from Mace Windu. I know it's a pretty un-Jedi thing to do, but Mace Windu probably should have murdered the little bastard when he had a chance. You see, Boba had the perfect cover. He looked like every clone trooper in the clone army, well, every young cadet at least. He used his appearance to infiltrate the Venator Star Destroyer Endurance as a part of the Clone Youth Brigade. Jedi Generals Anakin Skywalker and Mace Windu were on their way to rendezvous with the Endurance for a bit of R&R. Boba fits right in with the rest of the young cadets, but he definitely seems a bit more talented and independent. In Legends, we know that the less altered clones retained more of Fett's skill and aggressiveness in battle. Boba is a completely unaltered version of Jango, whereas all the clone cadets are bred to be more obedient and also potentially suffer from some degradation when it comes to motor skills and ability. Once the Jedi Generals arrive on board, they brief the young cadets, allowing Boba to make visual confirmation that Mace Windu is in fact on board. Boba manages to slip away and booby-trap the Jedi Master's room with a classic laser tripwire bomb. Fortunately for Mace Windu, he's called off for a meeting at the last second before he enters his room and avoids getting his legs blown off. But a clone trooper who is sent in his place isn't as lucky. The entire ship goes on alert as a result of the explosion. Boba must act quickly. It's only a matter of time before they figure out that he doesn't belong on that ship. Running out of options, Boba contacts the bounty hunter he's working with, Aurra Sing, for advice. Sing tells Boba to blow the reactor and take out the entire ship. Boba is hesitant at first about this idea. He doesn't want to harm the clones on board, just Mace Windu. After Jango had lost his head, the clones were basically the closest thing he had to a family. But Sing pressures Boba into destroying the entire ship, and so he heads to the reactor where he stuns a guard with a blaster and then shoots the reactor control panels, which quickly destabilizes the engines. The Jedi are almost sucked out into vacuum in the ensuing explosion, but manage to make it off the ship in starfighters. Meanwhile, Boba rejoins the other cadets and leaves the ship on one of the escape pods. But before that escape pod can rendezvous with the other pods, Boba sabotages his vessel, allowing Slave 1, piloted by Aurra Sing, to pick him up. He still has a mission to finish. Meanwhile, the Jedi and clones search for survivors in the crash site. Admiral Killian and the command crew have managed to land the Endurance on the nearby planet of Vancor, mostly intact. Once inside the crash site, they find a dead clone trooper who seems to have been killed after the crash. The Jedi surmise it must be the assassins who have come aboard the ship to verify that Mace Windu was in fact dead. The Jedi decide to split up and head to the bridge while the droids search the rest of the ship for survivors. The droids quickly realized they weren't alone. The planet was infested with terrifying Gundarks, powerful six-limbed monsters. While Mace Windu's droid is ripped apart, R2-D2 manages to escape somehow intact. Meanwhile, on the bridge, the two Jedi spot Jango Fett's helmet lying in the wreckage, an obvious trap, but the Jedi trigger it anyway, so much for their force powers being able to perceive threats. Skywalker and Windu managed to survive the explosion thanks to the older Jedi's quick thinking, but now they're both trapped beneath the wreckage. Meanwhile, Boba and his team of bounty hunters watch the explosion from afar. They had reached the bridge before the Jedi and taken the surviving crew along with Admiral Killian hostage. These Republic hostages would fetch a good bounty with Count Dooku, and would also serve as bait to draw the Jedi in. So while Bossk watches over the clones, the rest of the bounty hunters head towards the crash site to get the Jedi's bodies. R2-D2, however, manages to reach his master first, but he's unable to remove the debris from on top of him, and instead heads back to the starfighters to call for help. But before he's able to get off planet, the bounty hunters arrive and chase him in Slave 1. They think one of the Jedi is trying to escape. In the ensuing dogfight, R2-D2 manages to escape, but the fighter's communication array is damaged, forcing R2-D2 to enter hyperspace and travel all the way to Coruscant to warn the Temple about what was happening. Ahsoka and Plo Koon immediately leave Coruscant and rescue the stranded Jedi just in time. But Mace Windu's ordeal is not over yet. The bounty hunters still have Republic hostages, which they can use as leverage. Their leader, Aurra Sing, is a ruthless killer and willing to go to extreme lengths to get what she wants. Boba, who is still kind of just an innocent kid, finds the whole situation distasteful. The bounty hunters send a transmission and demand that Mace Windu come face them, or else they'll execute all of their hostages. To show they're serious, they shoot Commander Pons in the head. Boba is unable to shoot him, but Aurora steps in and does it anyway. Commander Pons had been a veteran of Geonosis and served alongside Mace Windu since the beginning of the war. Now Windu and Skywalker are still recovering. They're far too injured to go pursue Sing. So Plo Koon and Ahsoka Tano take over the investigation instead. They travel to the Coruscant underworld in order to find out more information about the whereabouts of Aurra Sing. They wander into a cantina and overhear that the bounty hunters had headed to Florum. The pirate Hondo Ohnaka had built a base on the small planet. Aurra had hoped that Hondo would help them out. Unfortunately, the pirate refuses to do so, but does allow Aurra to stay at his cantina. Plo Koon and Ahsoka Tano shortly arrive on the planet and demand that Aurra Sing release the hostages. Aurra is ready, however, and has the hostages removed from the location. If the Jedi try anything funny, Bossk will execute them remotely. The bounty hunters are dismayed to find that Plo Koon and Ahsoka had been sent to recover the hostages instead of Mace Windu. However, Aurra and Boba continue on with the plan, but this time around the Jedi are prepared. Ahsoka comes out of nowhere and disables Aurra Sing's comm, disconnecting her from Bossk, and holds her lightsaber at Aurra's throat. Boba, meanwhile, has a blaster pointed at Plo Koon, but the boy is no killer, and the standoff ends in a chaotic scramble. Aurra Sing manages to escape, but Boba Fett is not so lucky and is captured by Plo Koon. Instead of going back to rescue him, Aurra just runs away, betraying Boba. Another big blow to the young boy. First, he sees his father get beheaded, and now the closest thing he has to a mentor runs away and betrays him. Boba, now alone and angry, refuses to tell the Jedi where the Republic hostages are being kept. But Hondo ironically convinces Boba to tell the Jedi, claiming it was the honorable thing to do, something his father, Jango, would have done. In many ways, this entire story arc has been more about what Aurra Sing wanted rather than what Boba Fett wanted. Whereas Jango was a talented bounty hunter and a feared warrior, Aurra Sing was just a murdering psychopath. Boba naturally didn't really approve of her methods. And so ultimately Boba does what his father would have done and tells Plo Koon where the hostages are. Meanwhile, Aurra Sing has escaped the pirate compound on a speeder bike and is being closely followed by Ahsoka Tano. Plo Koon contacts Ahsoka and tells her that the bounty hunter is trying her best to lead her away from the hostages, and gives Ahsoka their real coordinates. Ahsoka arrives just in time to save the Republic hostages and manages to capture Bossk as well. Aurra Sing arrives shortly after and escapes in the Slave 1, but her victory is short-lived. Ahsoka has managed to damage one of the stabilizers on the ship, sending it spiraling out of control. The Jedi bring Boba back to Coruscant, where the boy finally gets to confront Mace Windu face to face. Although Boba apologizes for destroying the Vander-class Star Destroyer and getting a lot of clones killed, he doesn't apologize for trying to kill Windu. After all, the Jedi had killed his father. I'm not really sure what Mace Windu is thinking at this time, but it's most likely something along the lines of, next time I kill a crazy bounty hunter, I'm gonna make sure I take out his family as well. Which is a lesson we could all learn from. I'm just joking. Murder is terrible, and none of you should go out there and commit murder because it's a bad thing to do. What isn't bad is going down below and hitting that subscribe and notification button so you don't miss out on the rest of this series. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. As usual, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.